In 1910, Japan formally annexed Korea, beginning a brutal 35-year occupation. Under colonial rule, Koreans faced systemic oppression, including forced labor conscription. By 1938, Japan's national mobilization law enabled mass deportations of Koreans to work in mines, factories, and military support roles. Over 700,000 Koreans were forcibly mobilized by 1945. This scene shows the violent beginnings of Japan's exploitation of Korean lives for imperial expansion. Japanese authorities lured Koreans with deceptive promises of high-paying jobs in mainland Japan. Posters advertised patriotic labor service with images of smiling workers. In reality, recruits were shipped to war zones under armed guard. Survivors later testified that contracts were signed under threat of violence. By 1942, over 200,000 Koreans had been tricked into military-related labor, a precursor to frontline deployment. From 1943, Japan enforced compulsory military service for Koreans under the student soldier system. Conscripts endured brutal training designed to break their cultural identity. Speaking Korean was punished with beatings. Over 185,000 Korean soldiers served, many as low-ranking infantry. Military records show they received 30% less combat training than Japanese troops, marking them for disposable deployment. Declassified battlefield reports reveal Korean units were routinely positioned ahead of Japanese forces during Allied advances. At the 1944 Battle of Imphal, Korean regiments suffered 89% casualties, absorbing initial attacks. Survivor Lee Jong-ken testified, "They made us march first through minefields. Bullets hit us before the Japanese." This tactical sacrifice was systematic, not incidental. Ark Young-soo, drafted at 17, described how his battalion of 200 Koreans was reduced to 12 men in Saipan. The Japanese commanders stayed safely behind. We were human sandbags. Such accounts were suppressed until Korea's democratization in the 1990s. Oral history projects have now documented over 1,200 corroborating testimonies about deliberate human shielding tactics. A 1943 Imperial Army memo uncovered in 2002 explicitly mentions deploying Korean units in advanced positions to conserve imperial forces. Yet Japan's government continues to deny systemic human shielding, dismissing documents as isolated cases. Historians note similar redactions in 72% of examined Korean conscript records, a systematic erasure of evidence. Many survivors hid their past due to stigma. Some were branded Japanese collaborators. Kim Il-hwan's family only learned of his conscription at his funeral in 2010, discovering shrapnel wounds under his clothes. Psychologists estimate 68% of Korean conscripts developed untreated PTSD. This collective trauma permeated generations before truth-telling began. Democratic reforms allowed access to sealed archives and survivor testimonies. In 1993, Professor An Byung-jik published groundbreaking research proving Korean units had 300% higher casualty rates than Japanese counterparts. The 2005 Truth Commission verified 492 cases of human shielding through military logistics records and battlefield coordinates. Despite evidence, Japan's 2022 Defense White Paper claims Korean service was voluntary and honorable. Survivors like 98-year-old Choi Nam-sun protest annually at Tokyo's embassy. "We were bullet sponges, not soldiers." Diplomatic tensions flare as Korea demands official accountability, while Japan cites the 1965 treaty as final settlement. The standoff continues. Memorials like Seoul's War and Human Rights Museum now educate younger generations. But with Japan removing references to forced mobilization from textbooks, historical distortion persists. As South Korean President Yoon recently stated, "True reconciliation requires truth." This unresolved past remains a fault line in East Asia, demanding justice beyond geopolitical expediency.